You know what sucks? I just recorded for 10 minutes before I realized that audio wasn't recording, and you may ask, why wasn't audio recording? Did you not plug your mic in? No, the mic is in. It has a green light now, and it had a green light then. And I had audio input capture turned on in not Audacity, OBS. So I don't know anything. It's just an annoying thing. And it sucks because, like, I had good bits that I did during that 10 minutes. I went on a whole rant about how the polka government works in these games and why gyms are paid for by taxpayer money, probably. And it's gone now, like tears in rain, but fuck it. I'm going to try and recreate it because, gotta say something. So, here is my theory on how the government works in Pokemon. Well, I don't know how the government exactly works. There used to be a king in Kalos, but that's the closest to a reference that we get. But um, here's what I think. I think the gyms are taxpayer funded because they feel like just these massive public works projects done that only really a government agency with endless taxpayer funding could do, especially because there's no charge for gym. There's no like fee to be in the Pokemon League challenge. Like this is a public service, same as the Pokemon centers. And the question is, what is it? Like, why does it exist? Because, like, the thing I harped on is look how big this damn gym is. It is ginormous. It is a massive warehouse filled with dangerous elevators and has a staff of like 10 people. Why would you fund that? What is the benefit? Like, yeah, it's a cool sporting event, although Gowler's the only one who actually films and publicizes their battles. But why would you invest so much money into the gyms? And the ultimate conclusion I came to is, oh, it's military funding. And my justification of this is Unova. In Black and White, when the Unova Pokemon League is taken over by Team Plasma, do you know who shows up to save the day? That's right, it's the gym leaders. Like, see, I think that the Poke government funds the gym challenge and spends so much money on it because, like, it results in strong trainers because strength begets strength. And, like, people are challenged to fight gym leaders, so they get stronger to fight gym leaders. And because of that, you get a bunch of strong trainers who work for the government. They're the National Guard, basically. Like, Byron here, he's a member of the National Guard. And admittedly, they don't get paid that much. A lot of gym leaders have second jobs. But the point is, they're like National Guard reservists, where they get a little bit of polka dollars and spend some time in their gym when they're not doing their day job because, they need to be on call in case, there's a. The Great Marsh gets blown up by terrorism. And do you know who, like, fixes that shit? It's Crasher Wake. He shows up to, like, keep people safe. And thus, we can conclude that they are National Guard. And they are grossly overpaid. Like, look at this place. This is like the Half-Life crate smashing room where that's the only explanation for how this place could exist is that uh, the trainers who run this place understand that if they don't spend every penny in their surplus, they'll get less money next year, so they just needlessly waste taxpayer money on this giant warehouse filled with elevators. And, like, the worst one is the Dragon Gym in Black and White 2, where there's those 200-foot tall dragon statues over a pit. Like, that is such a waste of money. But if they don't waste all that money, they won't get that money next year. It's a very dumb bit of bureaucracy, but it's a realistic part of dumb bureaucracy. And of course, it makes sense that there's inefficiency and overspending. It's the military. Gym leaders are military. A uh, A G L A B. that GL also can apply to Green Lanterns because, as we all know, Green Lantern is a cop. But I also actually now that you think about it, aren't all superheroes kind of cops? Like it's weird that in some comics, Flash is or Green Arrow is portrayed as kind of hating Flash because Flash is a cop, but like Green Arrow, Ollie, I like you as a character, but Ollie, what do you do, Ollie? You 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 go around beating up and arresting criminals. What are you if not a cop? Like, and I know, like, not officially recognized, but they are recognized. Like, that's the thing about superheroes. Like, yes, they're technically vigilantes, but also when you get like invited to the White House to like shake hands with the president, thank you for fighting the alien invasions. I feel like at that point you are government sanctioned. Like Batman. Batman is a government sanctioned vigilante. He's like basically Batman is effectively deputized by the Gotham PD. Like when the chief of police is like shining your special Batman symbol in the sky to call you into work, you're a government contractor essentially. Batman, you is a cop. I don't know what the point of this little tirade was. Oh, what's going on? This is Nuzlocke Vlogs. It's where I play Pokemon and talk about things, mostly about the channel, and I read comments when I have new Pokemon, but I'm not going to read a lot of comments because I'm not going to catch any new Pokemon in this episode, likely, just based on how things are going to work out timing wise. What have I got going down the pipeline? Tomorrow I'm doing another D&D story. It's the 12th part in the Torchbearers series, which you should watch. Um, you should watch it. It's almost done. It'll be very good altogether when it is done. It's a nice story. It's been rough. I've been figuring out how I want to do these D&D stories as I do them, but I think Torchbearers has turned out pretty decent, and I will try to make the sequel to it, which I will do next year, even better. I like Dungeons and Dragons. It's a fun game, and I like being a DM. And also in Halloween, I'm doing a D&D horror story, which isn't from Torchbearers because that was a good campaign with people I'm still friends with. And this other campaign I'm gonna talk about. Oh, I'm not friends with them anymore because it was a horror story. Also, I've been writing my Dave Strider video essay. I'm almost done writing with it. I'm trying my goal just based on my scheduling. I need to get it done tomorrow night. And to be fair, all I have left to talk about is the rooftop conversation between Dave and Dirk. And admittedly, that's a very long scene that I have so much to say about because it's one of the defining scenes involving both of those characters who this video essay is about, but it's fine. Oh, and then I gotta talk about Collide. And also, hey, Homestuck is back? I thought it was dead. I I am floored that James Roach has brought it back. Like, why is the Homestuck music team the most competent people who worked on Homestuck? Like, not no no shade to musicians, but it is interesting that you have this project where Andrew Hussey writes and Toby Fox does the music, and also, as it turns out, based on Undertale and Deltarune, Toby Fox is a much better writer than Andrew Hussey, but he was the music guy. And James Roach seems to be the most competent person who has ever worked on Homestuck at like actually getting Homestuck content made instead of going on hiatus for 3 years. And I'm actually it's in a weird way it's kind of good that Homestuck 2 was a meandering story where after hundreds of pages absolutely nothing really good or memorable had happened, because I do like the epilogues, and I do think they left some interesting plot threads to be picked up in a sequel. And I mean, the whole writing team has been replaced now, hopefully with better writers, and maybe they can write good based on the setup. Like, for instance, nothing really developed in the Dirk and Rose are going to have a contest as God's thing with Terezi as the judge. So, I mean, I guess because nothing developed, maybe the new writers can develop something good from it. Maybe. I don't know. I I want to like Homestuck too. Here's what I want it to be good. And I don't know if it will be. Like, I haven't read any of the stuff in Friendism. I don't know how good the new writing team is, but I want them to do a good job and make a good comic. Alright, there's this long cutscene that I'm just going to mash B through. Can you hear that? I don't actually know if you can pick that up, but I was mashing the B button to stop Barry from evolving. Because could you imagine just like Barry's evolved form, like Volkberry? It is an electric type that is just so fucking annoying and never shuts up and just drags you around. Like, see, I'm not even holding the keyboard now. I know, but yeah, it does alter my plans for next year because I was going to talk about Homestuck 2 and why it was a failure in my next April Homestuck video essay, and now I'm not going to because I want to talk about Homestuck 2 all in one. And instead, I'm just going to focus on the epilogues, which are good. I think the epilogues. I've had this rant about the epilogues before. That's how I started Platinum, about talking about how the epilogues were too good. And I hope that Homestuck 2 becomes as good as the epilogue. So here's the thing: the epilogues were heavily flawed and relied a lot on shock value, but they at least were about something and had something to say and had some moments of really, really good character writing. Like, that is why I like the epilogues. That I think they fit into the Homestuck tradition of being really weird stories about the idea of narrative, which I have written 2.9 video essays about how narrative is this theme in Homestuck. It's about characters who are trapped and tortured by the narrative, and that is the Homestuck epilogues to a T. It is Dirk takes over as narrator and uses his new narrative powers to mind control people for his schemes. And then there's the Candy epilogue where someone's doing something that isn't clear what. I do think, and I've said this before, people do not interact with Homestuck 2 and the Homestuck epilogues in the same way they interact with Homestuck. Or maybe, because there are a lot of people who, like I see in conversations, like, man, Homestuck 2 sucks, just like everything after Keck said, okay, you don't like most of Homestuck, so, like, I don't know why I want your opinion, because I like the parts of Homestuck you hate. But, like, if people talk about Homestuck the way they talk about the Homestuck epilogues, you would be like, can you believe what happened in Homestuck? How it just, like, they killed off John randomly and then started acting really misogynistic to all the female characters, and then the art got bad, and then Dave made out with his sister, and all the narration was in caps locks for some reason, and then it switched to just very bad anime drawings. Like, Homestuck got bad. Like, that is the level that the discourse on Homestuck 2, and the level of discourse on the Homestuck epilogues is, you know? Like, it'll say, like, wow, I can't believe that Jane is evil and that Gamzee, like, everyone treats him like a good guy and that everyone acts like out of character and that all this weird messed up stuff happens. Did I forget? No. I am supposed to be going here. And I didn't remember what order you're supposed to go to the lakes in. Like, but the point is, like, if you talk about the Caliborn stuff in Homestuck, the same way you talk about the epilogues, it's like, wow, here is a list of plot points out of context that are, like, really weird. But I think when you're discussing a story, you shouldn't just say, here's what happens in the plot. You should try to get into, what is the author trying to say? What are the themes of the story? And how does this plot point get it away? How does it, for better or for worse, advance the story? Not just, here's a list of the things in the. Here's a list of scenes in Homestuck epilogues without context. Isn't that messed up? What is the context behind these scenes? What is the story about? That does not matter. There was a thing in it that was weird. No, enough ranting about Homestuck. So, I like watch YouTube videos or TV while I'm doing my editing for YouTube videos. And I'm past couple nights editing this new D&D story, and what I started watching in the background is The Simpsons again, because The Simpsons, that's a good show, classic Simpsons. I started from the beginning, and season 1 of The Simpsons wasn't very good. It really wasn't. I feel very little affection towards season 1 of The Simpsons. I think a lot of the episodes are pretty mediocre. Yeah. And I did watch through a lot of The Simpsons like a year or two ago. And when did I stop? I don't remember the exact number season. But I stopped watching at the end of the season that had the Join the Navy episode. Because the Join the Navy episode is really good. It's a really funny episode. But after I watched that episode, I realized, wow, this is the only episode of this most recent season that I liked. And I couldn't say that about the season before it, but there were less episodes I liked. And the season before that, I liked a lot of the episodes. So I'm like, we is in the post-golden age. Because I watched this good episode and realized it was the only episode from the season I liked. Like, what else was in that season? There was Lisa Vegan one, and I don't remember any other episodes at all. It was not a great season of The Simpsons. Wait, I'm dumb. I forgot what type the Stunky was. Yeah, early Simpsons was rough, but once it gets a few seasons in, it gets really, really good. Classic Simpsons holds up. Like, sometimes I see clips recommended, and every time I watch, I'm like, yeah, that was a good show. Although, I don't have nostalgia for The Simpsons. I did not watch The Simpsons as a kid. I watched Family Guy as a kid. I'm not saying Family Guy is better than The Simpsons. I'm saying I watched Family Guy as a kid. And American Dad. I have a bit of affection for American Dad. American Dad's heavily flawed. I don't think it's as good as classic Simpsons, but I think it's better than a lot of Family Guy. And it's alright. Although I haven't watched American Dad in forever, I don't really watch a lot of sort of adult animation anymore. Is the new season of Rick and Morty out yet? I should check when that comes out. It'll be interesting. Because they fired Justin Roiland, and I'm not saying I disagree with that, but it is weird to fire your head writer and showrunner and person who voices the two titular characters. And I don't know who the new VAs are. I hope it goes well for them, because there's gonna be so much hate towards them because they replaced Roiland, and probably won't be a perfect imitation of him, but they're trying their best, and they probably won't be awful. They seemed fine in the trailer. I don't know. Let's see. One story I was going to say is I went to a funeral last weekend, and I don't like funerals. Well, I don't like funerals. Wow, bravo, Casey. One-handed clap, like a Buddhist parable, is what you get for saying that you don't like funerals. Which, everyone loves funerals except you, Casey. But I don't like funerals in general, but I think a type of funerals that is worse than other funerals is, and I say this as a person who comes from an uber religious household, who's been to many, many funerals for people of very devout Christian backgrounds. My whole family, very hardcore Christians, been to funerals for deceased family members, but they aren't the and despite that, they don't feature like sermons. Is like my so the thing about this funeral is that there was this woman I know who passed away, and it was very very sad. And her brother gave a speech, and it was a very nice speech, and their husband gave a speech, and it was a very nice speech, or not a speech, like a I don't know what the term for a speech at a funeral is. And then, oh, is this a double battle or I get attacked twice in a row? And then anyway, and then after that, a priest came out and gave a speech and just he gave a sermon in which he mentioned the deceased woman like once, and it was just a generic sermon. And I don't that rubs me the wrong way. I think if it's someone's funeral, it should be about them, and it should not be something that you could just have said earlier that morning in normal church service. You know, I think funerals are about the people who are dead, is my hot take. And it really struck me because this was a weird service. This was a guy had a very thick southern accent. I think it was from Alabama because all the stories were about things that happened in Alabama and were also almost certainly fake. He told like three parable stories, and like the middle one really stuck with me because he was like, so there is this story. It's a true story about a death row inmate who writes to the governor and he asks for a pardon. And then the governor, you see, the governor decides to fuck with him, just decides to mess with this guy. He didn't phrase it like that, but that is what he says in the story. The governor decided to go to the prison dressed as a priest and say, "Hi, I can help you." And then the man's like, "No, you can't help me." And then the governor walked away and didn't pardon the guy and said, "Well, if he had recognized me as the governor and asked me to pardon him, I would have pardoned him, but oh, he didn't recognize me when I was in disguise, so I guess I have no choice but to kill him." And you get the end of that very weird story, and then the priest is like, Jesus is basically like that. And I'm like, okay, bold play, Cotton. Let's see how it works out. What does you mean, weird priest? Well, you see, because, you got to take your chance with Jesus. You got to take your opportunity before. Oh, that was nothing. Oh, that was a little more, but still nothing. You got to take your opportunity with Jesus before it's too late, is the point of that sermon. But all I could think during that is like, wait, so are you saying that Jesus disguises himself to fuck with people for his own amusement? Like, ah. You see, the main thing about Jesus is that he will wear a disguise and lie to you to trick you into dying. That is Jesus's favorite thing, according to this one random pastor. Like, basically, Jesus. So here's what's going to happen to you in the future. You got to watch out for this. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, praise be Jesus Christ, praise be His name. He is going to he's going to go up to you and keep an eye out for a Groucho Marx mask. He likes being Groucho Marx for some reason. I don't know. He's going to go up to you wearing a Groucho Marx mask, and if you don't recognize him as Jesus, he will murder you on the spot. Jesus does not like letting people live if they don't see through his disguise. Like, Jesus, his favorite thing is sentencing people who don't recognize him to death. And like in it, it's like, well, the priest is like, I keep saying priests, even though he was Protestant, and I think that's incorrect, but I don't. Who gives a shit? And the pastor keeps going like, well, it's like I don't think in the pastor's head he thinks that the governor in this story is the bad guy. I think he's like, well, the governor gave him a chance and that guy didn't take it, thus he deserves everything has coming to him, no matter how violent and cruel. And actually, wait, that is Is that what the pastor thinks about Christianity? That is what a lot of people think about Christianity. Ultimately, it's not like that's an out of line thinking. Like the you failed to take your chance and thus you deserve horrible violence against you is not an uncommon idea in my experience spending thousands upon thousands of hours in churches, but it's not a thing that I really brag about. And also, again, remember, this was a funeral for a young mother who died from cancer. And you may wonder, because I'm wondering, what the fuck does the governor tricking a man into dying story have to do with that? And the answer is fucking nothing. And that just kind of bother me. I don't know. I don't know. Also, no, I won't. Well, I thought, like, I think about what I'm going to say in these throughout the week. Um, and, like, a thing that just is on my mind is I have a lot to say about the Israeli Palestine conflict. And but I just realized, like, I have that on the docket, ooh, that's a thing I should talk about in this. And then I realized, who gives a shit what I want to say? I'm a random white guy from Iowa. I have nothing meaningful to add to this conversation. You know? So I'm not gonna fucking talk on that. There, everything I've have to say about it has been said more eloquently by other people, and at the end of the day, all I can say is I detest terrorism and the killing of civilians, and also think that terrorism does not stop being a terrorism if you're a nuclear superpower. And I think that violence should end. And there's only one way for it to end, and only one group that has the ability to make that. No, no. I said no one cares what I think. So why am I talking about it anyway? I don't know. I don't know. I That's been really a thing that's been weighing on my mind. It's kind of I've seen so many calls for genocide in the past week, and it makes you feel angry and it makes you feel helpless, but also you, but also like, oh, I feel angry because there was jackasses on Twitter. Like, shut the fuck up, Casey, because no one cares about your opinion on this because it doesn't affect you. Uh, that was a downer up ending to this rambling vlog that began with me talking about how Pokemon gym leaders are basically soldiers. And in the next one, I'm going to head north and catch an ice type, which will hopefully be the final member of my team. I don't know. I'm afraid there's going to be real bad stuff in coming weeks.